WCLN 1170 Radio and Star Communications Channel 16 proudly present the We Should Know Show, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative. Now, here's your host, J.W. Simmons, as we consider closely what we should know.
We Should Know is on there. I want to thank you for being with us today. My name is J.W. Simmons. I'm your host each and every week on Tuesdays at 2:30, simulcast on WCLN Radio. There's replays at 7 p.m. Tuesday, Thursday on Star Communications TV, Channel 16. We want to thank you for being with us today, and the subject of conversation today is the Social Services Department and a particular part of that department that deals with adolescents, the needs of adolescents, adolescent behavior. A couple of folks with us today that's very well dialed into this. You guys see it on a regular basis. It's Maria Ordaz. And Maria, you are with the Department of Social Services 17 years, social work supervisor and adult family services. I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And of course, we have Monica Moore with us. Monica, you're kind of newer to the organization, but you've been involved in this kind of work for 10 years. And the experiences you've had has brought you to working with social services here as a social worker supervisor in children's services. This is a conversation, ladies, that I really think that we should have not only more often, but with more depth. Monica, Maria, I'll start with you. I want to start with you today because I look at some of the things you've done, some of the credentials that you have here. You've dedicated your life to this, I'll call it a project, not a job. Dedicated your life to this project. What was your calling? Do you feel it as a calling? Obviously, you're not doing it just for the paycheck. There's something else driving you.
Absolutely. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy making those connections, providing people with resources that they need so that they can thrive in their homes and have all their needs met. So I enjoy that piece of my job.
Now, you, of course, have children yourself. You understand some of the daily kinds of things that goes on. As you look at both your academic background and your academic credentials and your experience credentials, is there parts of that you see that you feel like you need more information in? Is there a border there that you just wish I wish I could not only have a conversation with these people, but I could treat them for whatever the wound is they have and that kind of thing? Is there enough resources available to you to take care of that?
No, our county is rural and we lack resources within our community. A lot of times we have to reach out to, Cumberland County or other surrounding counties for assistance because they're larger counties, they have more resources. Some of their resources do serve our community members, so we have that connection there.
Monica, I want to swing to you. You've been in the business for some time. Of course, you're a graduate of Clinton High School. You know the area well around here. You understand people. Just kind of the same kind of, give us a feel for why you ended up in this kind of, should I say, business, where you're connecting with people, where you're trying to help people. It's particularly, and more importantly, the adolescent group that we're going to get into in a minute in somewhat of a detail.
I have a passion to help others. I started off in education with children. I just enjoy helping others and being a positive light for them.
In some of the literature I've been reading to try to prepare to talk to you guys, there's a number of commentary that refers to adolescence and the world of adolescent behavior. And it was kind of striking because folks said we're in a crisis. Do you feel like we're in a crisis to try to deal with and somehow restructure the environment for children, particularly with foster care, with the demands and needs for children that maybe have issues as a result of their environment? Where are we with that world? And do we even look at that world enough? And I'll start with you, Juana.
Absolutely. We lack foster homes in the county, surrounding counties. We have children with severe needs that a typical family foster home cannot adapt to their needs. So we just lack services in any, as far as foster homes, group homes, things of that nature.
Is that something that is just unique to some of the rural counties, or is this a statewide or a nationwide issue?
It's definitely statewide.
How do we solve that, Maria?
Bringing in more resources, paying attention to our children, providing for them, making sure they have a loving home, food, clothing, shelter, electricity, that kind of stuff. I feel like I mostly work with the adults. So a lot of times what these children suffer when they're young follows them into their adult life. So we see that a lot. A lot of our adults that are currently in guardianship were adults that receive services through Child Protective Services or might have been in foster care at some point in their lives.
Someone asked me a while back on this particular subject, how does a child, everybody kind of says this is a precious moment, you got a beautiful child. How does a child find themselves in an environment that they're totally alone and nobody to care for them? Help us understand how that even happens.
There's several things that can cause a child to be left alone. Are you referring to the children in foster care?
And foster care, or just generally children. And the idea behind that is moving the conversation to that area of adolescent behavior and some of the violence that we're seeing that is coming from adolescent behavior.
There's some children that have behaviors and the provider are unable to care for those children. They don't have the services in place to adapt with their behaviors. Once children have those behaviors in the home or outside, parents can have services in place to adapt with the child's behaviors, or they may need to be in another facility to engage in services with them.
Is the aspect of children a process that people think through, or is all of a sudden there's a child in the home due to the biological process, and then people start thinking, well, now how do I deal with the child? Have we missed somewhere historically that period of time of understanding that now we have a child in the home? Now there's certain things that before the child is there. It's sort of like a pet. You know, you say we're going to go get a puppy or a cat or what have you in the house. There's certain things you talk about that you know you got to do. Have we just kind of skipped that, and now all of a sudden, you know, here we have a child, and what are we supposed to do?
Some of these are learned behaviors it's generational curses. There's some parents that have been neglected and abused, and their children then are neglected and abused. So some of it's generational.
So given that as a reality, how do we look at, in your role and what I'm doing here, trying to get people to have a conversation about this, what do we do to help folks understand that this generational anomaly that may not be working good, how do we help them understand, let's change the path on that. Let's do it quickly. Let's get something done. Let's get structure, whether it's through the school system, whether it's through community and faith-based organizations, wherever it may be. Let's have that conversation now while that child is at a reasonable age, so when they move forward, they don't do the same thing. Because if they're just replicating behavior, then we've got a unchecked disaster.
Absolutely.
Would you agree with that?
I do.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
The schools offer certain classes, and that can help the teens or young adults prepare for certain things in their lives. So I think that as parents, becoming more involved and in the know about what your child is doing, what interests them, what doesn't interest them, keeping them busy and being there, I think that helps with that. There is, in the middle school, a program that helps children as young as 11, 12, and 13 prepare for college and careers and understanding how that works. So it's all about, as Monica said, it's a cycle that never ends. A lot of times children have to as they grow up, make that decision. I'm going to be a better person, or I grew up like this. It made me feel this way. So I'm not going to follow those behaviors. I want to be a better mom one day or a better dad, and I think as parents, being involved with our kids at such a young age and helping them decipher through what interests them and keep them busy can help them have a different adult life than their current environment.
When we hear these things, is there adequate resources available for someone that may be watching this show today or listening to us on radio? Is there adequate resources there for that person to pick up the phone, or actually take their mobile phone, because nobody picks up the phone anymore, and reaches somebody? Is there adequate resources that they could reach you or somebody else and say, hey, I heard you say so-and-so. Well, here's something that's bothering me, or I don't understand, or I didn't understand even your response. Is there some way they can reach out to get help when they need it before it becomes necessary for you to intervene in a, should I say, a legal capacity?
Absolutely. In our agency, we have the Hub Resource Center. All you have to do is call the agency at 910-592-7131. Ask to speak to someone in our hub. That is a resource center that can connect anyone who needs help, needs that connection. We provide them with a resource.
Monica, we covered multiple counties. Is that resource available in 8-10 counties here in Eastern North Carolina?
Yes, if you just contact your local DSS, Department of Social Services.
It would go first through the local DSS, so folks don't necessarily need to call a hotline to Raleigh or anything. They can call that. Is that 24-hour connection?
8 through 5.
So a person could call that and say, look, I've got even a 15-year-old or a 12-year-old, and this child is just, I can't control it, and I don't know what to do. I don't know whether it's me or them or what. Even that level of resources there.
Yes. The state also has the 211 hotline. You just dial 211 and talk to them about what your concern is, your need, and they can help connect you. And they might even connect you with your local DSS, but they have a wider range of resources.
We're going to take a quick break and come right back. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment. Call a friend.
Computer viruses, malware, and ransomware are out there. They're dangerous, and they can steal your identity and damage your equipment. Star Communications is now offering Protect IQ. The service adds an extra layer of protection to every device connected to your network, working quietly in the background. Star can help you protect yourself from the inside out with Protect IQ. Call Star today and take advantage of this free service when you sign up for whole home Wi-Fi with Star Communications.
How can your friend save you money? It's easy. Refer a relative, coworker, neighbor, or friend to Star Communications. Friend signs up for high-speed internet service. Friend's new account is confirmed. Friend gives your name to our service representative as the one who referred them to Star. You receive a $30 internet credit. It's just that simple. And even better, receive a $30 internet credit for every referral that results in a new confirmed account. High-speed internet from Star Communications. Refer a friend today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thanks for being with us today. We're talking about adolescent behavior, child behavior, social work in general. Maria Ordaz, Monica Moore. Thanks for both of you coming in, sharing your daily life experience with us. When we went to break, we were talking about people having the opportunity to reach out and not necessarily report on somebody, but report that somebody may need help. And there's a telephone number that they can call. That's the first step. And that number, I understand, is 592-7131. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so when they call that number, that's a local number here for this county. It has nothing to do, if you're going through Bladen County has a separate number. So the question is, Is there a resource person that will answer that and have the technical knowledge to work with that person that's calling to process, date, and do something with that information? Or is it just kind of going to refer them to somebody like you, or what? How does that work?
They will refer to whatever the need of the child.
So is that referral then followed up on, or can they wait, like right then they say, no, I need to talk to somebody now? Does that operator say what?
The operator will provide the citizen with resources. They can then call the provider for assistance for that child.
Which brings us to another question. Do we have adequate providers? And let's define what a provider is.
We have limited resources as far as mental health in Sampson County. But we do have providers that can come into the home if needed.
And actually do an in-home visitation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
What prompts that, Maria? What prompts going into a home? What will cause you guys or whoever they're talking to say, this is the key word that we need to go out there and look?
If we get a report, like an adult protective services report, it gets screened, it gets assigned to a social worker, depending on the allegations, whether if it's abuse, neglect, or asset exploitation. The social worker will go out to the home or wherever the adult is and assess the situation, follow through. We recently have the Carter Clinic, which provides a mobile bus that comes out to our agency. They park the bus on our campus. They're out there usually once a week and on Thursdays. Anyone can call the Hub Resource Center at the agency just to confirm that the bus will be there. Usually it arrives after 11 o'clock and it'll hang out for a couple of hours. And they provide services on the spot to anyone who needs help with mental health. And they do other kinds of assessments as well.
So when we look at adolescent behavior, and Monica, you were pointing out, a lot of this is generational. It's like they follow a pattern of what they see and they replicate that. So as we look at that sounds like it also then involves adult health care and to some degree mental health care. Is that, how do you actually, when you look at it through your eyes, because you see this on a regular basis, how do you look at it and what do you see as a system? What do you see that could be improved on? And do you see cases where they just completely miss the whole situation and it escalates into violence?
Some situations are where we are short, limited resources. Also, the parents or the individual may not have the capacity to understand why they're needing additional services, which is difficult for the parents or the children.
Does it concern you when I was doing the introduction a while ago, I used that word that the adolescent behavior world is a state of crisis now in the sense of funding, in the sense of response time and all of that. Is that too strong a word to say it's a crisis? But I would think two ways to look at it: in the world of actually getting help as opposed to the world of that parent or that family member that has someone that is extremely out of control. It's two different worlds of crisis. I mean, there's an effort here for hopefully that I can kind of help explain better this to our audience, that the word crisis, yes, is a strong word, but if you've got somebody that's doing something of a physical health problem, whether it's a child that's being abused or whether it's a child that's literally gotten out of hand, it seems to me that is a crisis.
Yes, you're right. I mean, it's something we see every day. It's people sometimes don't want to ask for help. They're too embarrassed or too prideful. But it's okay. You know, somebody who is in this world, like our world, we may know something that could help bridge that gap for that family or for that adult to help them live a healthier, thrive in their homes, have their needs met, and be taken care of. We do get reports from neighbors, friends, providers, you name it, with concerns. And our job is to receive that report, analyze, help, see how we can help. What services could we provide to help that individual thrive in its home and community with what it knows. It's lived in this home for X amount of years. It's gone to this church. That adult has gone to this church for X amount of years. We still want that. You know, what is that gap? How can we help bridge that gap so that, you know, the crisis doesn't continue?
What are the markers, the things you look at when you approach people, or when you're just out in the community and maybe you're at the grocery store? Is there things that you see that typically a person not in your profession would not see? Is there things that gives you pause, that says, wait a minute, let me back up and take another look at this? And what are they? Give us an idea of what that is. It really gets your attention, because I think that's what folks can kind of think about, because I know I certainly have. It bothers me to hear children crying, period. But, you know, if there's a difference in crying and there's somebody just screaming it, and you start watching the adult's response to that. Do y'all get in that world? Do you see that? Have you seen that in your career? And it's okay to talk about it. You don't have to call names.
Right, yeah. I've seen that in our career. There's some things where when you're looking at something, you may think that there's physical abuse there, but it may just be a mental health condition of the child.
Yeah.
So there's different forms. Until you dig deeper into it, you won't know for the most part.
And in that judgment, in particular, have you seen that where you felt like you were like at that moment, if something didn't change in what you were observing, that you might actually engage at that time?
Yes.
And I mean, I'm trying to get people to understand that what you're doing, you can't set it down and say, okay, it's 5 o'clock, I'm going home. Because when you start home, you might all of a sudden be back on duty again.
That's true.
So this is critical stuff, looking at it from the eyes of somebody that's not in that particular world. They may just think, well, that kid's just acting up. He needs a spanking, or she needs a spanking. But you may see something there. So what I'm trying to get to here is, what are those signals that you see that would cause you to say, I'm fixing to intervene here? What would cause you to say that? Talk to me. What's going to cause you something? Because I know there's something there.
When we are out and about, when I'm out and about not working, it's after working hours, and being a social worker and doing, being in this world for so long, there's certain details, as in the way someone looks, the way someone carries. I witnessed one day this woman slap the baby or a young child in the aisle at a store, not in this county, it was in another county. And the way she was just speaking to that child, that really, caught my attention. But other people intervened before. I was sitting there trying to analyze the situation. There's been, when we go to other counties, there's a lot more homeless individuals in the streets with signs. Mm-hmm. That's a tall tale sign that, they need food, they need water, something to help them go about their day the best way they know how. So it's those little details that we try to make those connections, or call where we need to call, so that the right people can intervene in the moment, to see what is going on. Because like Monica said, sometimes it's not what you see in the surface. You've got to dig a little deeper, mm-hmm. and that takes time. Anything else?
I agree. But if you do see a child is unsafe, you definitely need to call and make a report. Absolutely.
So as we kind of go down this path, that we're going to take a break here in a minute. As we go down this path, I want to try to get a clear picture for folks, because I honestly believe there's a lot of situations out there, and we, the general population, the people that's listening and so forth, have a compassion for to say I need to do something. They have a compassion that I need to get engaged. But there's also this back away that I don't think I want to get involved. And what I'm looking for here is to try to help folks understand how they can be engaged without being involved, how they can help without putting themselves in a situation that they can't win, or that there might be some pushback or even violence. Because when you start stepping up to somebody and saying, hey, you don't need to be doing that to your child. A box of turnips might hit you or something. I don't know, in the grocery store, you can never tell. But the reality is that's kind of, I think, for the folks that make up the large audience and that we fortunately have all these years, they're looking for the answer to those key questions. So when we come back, I'd like to touch on that and then get into some things that's coming up during the holidays. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment. Stay tuned, call a friend. We're talking about behavior, things that you can do when you see that you can help, and things that maybe through the organization you work with can help. We'll be back in a moment.
At Fisher's, it's not just about fashion. It's about exceptional service. Experience top-notch customer care and find your perfect look. Visit Fisher's today and feel the difference.
Experiencing slow internet? If you have a fast internet package, the problem is most likely your wireless router. With more devices using Wi-Fi, your wireless router may not be able to deliver the speed and coverage you need. We now have the leading solution to enhance your internet experience. Using small devices in a mesh network, these Wi-Fi appliances cover just about any size home, so that all your devices can operate to their fullest potential. Whole home Wi-Fi from Star Communications. Get the most out of your internet connection.
If you run a business, you need sales. To get sales, you need customers. To get customers, you need exposure. Let our team of experts craft and produce the perfect video ad to reach your intended audience while making the most of your advertising dollars. Call 1-800-706-6538 or visit starcom.net to contact our Star Communications production team and get your business moving to the next level.
The average American household has 17 devices connected to the internet. With more and more devices able to get online, you may need to increase your internet speed. Call Star Communications today and let us help you select the package that's right for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know's on there. I want to make sure that you understand where we're at here today. We're talking about a subject and a commentary on my part that is very important for us as a society. We're talking with folks with social services. We're talking with Monica Moore. We're talking with Maria Ordaz, and we're talking about social work, particularly as it works itself around behavioral health and the area of foster care and the area of response to potential child abuse in situations where people need help. We talked quite a bit on break about this, but I want to try to set the stage to have a just kind of an open conversation about things that happen in our community oftentimes as a person that might be out there and you would see somebody doing something and you think, well, there's not a problem there and that's normal. Monica, you said something a while ago that struck me, is that oftentimes we get caught in a generational repetitiveness, and you'll hear sometimes people say, well, when I was coming up, I got whooped or I got beat or I got whatever. And that behavior becomes replicated over time. Should we as a society, let's step away from social services, but just your opinion as a society, should we be more cognizant of how we not only treat each other, but particularly how we treat people that their brains are developing, they really don't understand, so they start processing, and what we say to them or do around them, they may assume, even if it's bad behavior, that this is correct and appropriate behavior?
Yes, we should. There's things that we witness in the public that gets our attention, things that may be negative. Some folks are uneasy to report things because they want to stay out of the situation. If you see a child that's being neglected or is being abused physically, emotionally, you definitely need to contact your local DSS to file a CPS report. If you have any concerns, you can remain anonymous if that's another concern that you may have.
Maria, I know you deal a lot with the foster care world. That particular world is unique in that you've got a couple of things going on. You got a child, it appears, that needs somewhere to live. And you're looking for people that's willing to step up and be foster care people. There's been some statutory changes just since then this year related to that, as it relates to grandparents and so forth, looking after children that their parents may not be looking after them. How is that world? How are you able to sustain that? Do we have children that can't get into foster care? Are we having children to be moved from one area to another that simply don't have family?
Can I speak on that? Can I speak on that? She's with Adult Services, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Can I speak on? I'm sorry. Did you finish your statement?
No, go ahead.
There's families can reach out to the agency if they're willing to be a TSP, a temporary safety provider for the child. They would the agency will go to their home, assess their home to see if it's suitable for the child to remain in their home. They'll also run Child Protective Services history and criminal history to see if it's suitable for the child to remain in the home.
And back again, Maria, is this idea that somebody says, well, I think I can do this. Talk to us about the process and that. Tell us what a foster home is. Just basically lay it out here like we know nothing about foster care. Obviously we don't. And as people that's listening to this show today, help us understand, number one, why a foster care home is important. Number two, if they're interested in that, or if they've thought about that, is it something that's never been apparent to them? But just kind of give us some idea of what that is. And maybe I'll ask the question, and maybe this will open the door. Why do we even need foster care?
Well, in my personal opinion, every child needs a home. You have people from different backgrounds, different cultures. We do need a diverse group of foster homes in our community. Love is love. Love doesn't have color, so every child doesn't have color, doesn't have race. Every child deserves a loving home. We are approaching, Christmas holidays, Thanksgiving holidays. It's important for individuals to open up their homes and their hearts to children within our community that have nowhere to go. At times we have had children in our agency, and we do a rotation within our department with other social workers to stay overnight, day in and day out, while we try to find a home suitable for a child of all ages. Most of the time it's our teenagers, and Monica can speak more on this.
Teenagers are definitely harder to place than infants. A lot of individuals want a little baby that they can mold and shape, and we have some adult teenagers that have behaviors more so than the younger kids. So it's we can actually have foster parent license through Sampson County DSS. So if someone is interested in becoming a foster parent, they can reach out to Melissa Newman. She is the licensing worker, and she will direct them on how to begin the process of being a foster parent.
The foster parent world is often one, as you just pointed out, I think people are afraid to step up and do that because they want to select who they would prefer, as you just pointed out. Is that the reason we do not have, what I've read is we don't have adequate foster homes? So is that one of the reasons we don't have more people stepping up, because they would prefer to say, I want that small child rather than that teenager.
That is correct. And some individuals just thought they're unaware that fostering is an option. So I think if we just spread the word out to people, they can definitely may be interested in the possibility of being a foster parent. And there's also private agencies as well. So they don't have to, if you live in Sampson County, you can definitely apply to be a foster parent, or apply if you're interested in being a foster parent in Sampson County, and you can go out to other agencies as well.
Do you have, when you place children in foster care, what's the process? I mean, for example, if it is adolescent, teenager, and you've got maybe one foster care home, is that teenager, and you mentioned culture, so is that teenager looked at that would be more applicable in this particular home versus that particular home? We've got a social, cultural dynamic that's changing now, and we all see that. It's like in the Latino population. Is there a need to have the child where if there's a language barrier, that you could have them in a home that they could understand the language or the cultural significance of their background?
Yes, that'd be preferred. And with some foster families, we also interview the child and the parents to see if they're a good fit to be placed together. I think that's beneficial for their children too, to see who they may be placed with, and to have the foster parent to see who they're interested in as well.
And I agree, Maria, that it should be blind as it relates to culture and color. It should be blind, but reality is we know it's not. Absolutely. So what I'm trying to get here is that you guys work with that and you try to make sure that happens. The critical aspect that I'm understanding on a statewide level, and maybe even nationally, but particularly on a statewide level, we just do not have adequate foster care homes and people stepping up.
We don't.
Why? Why don't we? Why wouldn't people say, I don't want to see that child sleeping in your office?
Oftentimes we have foster parents that, unfortunately, if the child does misbehave, they'll say, I want the kid out. They don't want to deal with the behaviors. And this is not in the best interest of the child to be bouncing from home to home to home. So the more individuals that are interested in caring for, like Maria said earlier, love is what love. As long as you love the child and you're wanting to be a provider for them, that's what we need in our county and surrounding counties.
And this is pretty much the same. That answer probably, if you look at rural counties here in eastern North Carolina, that probably would be the answer for just about every county, because it's pretty much the same kind of population. Is that, or is that making it too general?
No, I don't think it's making it too general.
I would add that, if when we're the biological parents, we don't pick and choose our child. We don't pick and choose if we want a girl, if we want it to be smart, if we want it to have curly hair or blue eyes. God blesses us with and genetics, as it's a factor, but God blesses us with a child who may have Down syndrome, mm-hmm. who may be born with some kind of mental health. We just don't know it yet. But, as a parent, sometimes, it's about asking the right questions so that you can have those resources in place to help this child live a decent life. So to me, foster care, in a sense, it's sort of like that. Yes, you may think this child is broken because it comes from a family. It's in foster care, obviously, because something happened, mm-hmm. right? But let's educate ourselves to see how we can change the life of this teen, the life of this elementary school aged kid, the life of this infant, the life of this 17-year-old, despite of the life that it's lived before it came into your care. Or, if you see something, say something. Mm-hmm. You might be that one person who speaks up and is able to intervene in a proper time frame to stop or put resources in place, or help us put resources in place for that family.
Coming up on a break, last segment of the show coming up. When we come back, I want to talk about some things coming up in December and before December that's going to affect a child's life right here in this county and things people can do in reaching out to you. We'll be back in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. Call a friend.
Welcome to Cork and Brew Roseboro, where you can enjoy your favorite coffee, fraps, smoothies, bakery items, sandwiches, and select beer and wines while reconnecting with friends and family. Sit down and enjoy the experience. Come on by and give us a try.
Providing fewer commutes, more backyard offices, and crystal clear meetings. Providing less, you froze up, and more presence in your presentations. Providing a better internet experience. Providing possible.
You're out for an evening on the town. Finally a chance to relax and forget that you left your front door completely unlocked. Fortunately, you just installed a security system from Star Communications. With just your cell phone, you can check on your house, lock it down, light it up, and get back to relaxing.
You forgot to put Buster in his crate.
Unfortunately, we can't help with that. Security and automation from Star Communications. Call today to find out more.
At the Reedy Mark, we take pride in a unique, distinguished customer experience. We specialize in handcrafted cocktails, allocated bourbons, as well as gourmet signature food items exclusive to our menu at the Reedy Mark in Roseboro.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you for being with us today. We're talking with Maria Ordaz. We're talking with Monica Moore with Social Services about everything from adolescent behavior and places that we've been and things you've done and things you are doing. One of the things we wanted to get into today is a program that is the County Social Services is doing called the Christmas Cheer Program. This is something I think you've done regularly for a number of years. Help us understand what this outreach program is, why it is important during this particular holiday season, and how it can kind of maybe benefit and change people's lives in a positive way. Either one of them.
Christmas Cheer is a event we have at Sampson County DSS. It will be held on December the 11th. It is a celebration of children and adults that are in DSS custody. It's a huge Christmas party. We have games, we have toys, and this day is really special to me or the children because this Christmas cheer may be the first time a child had Christmas and have toys and show love. So it's a very fulfilling day.
How hard is it to organize something like this? I mean, I'm just sitting here looking at it from 1,000-foot level, and I'm thinking when you get down and get closer to it, you got to have not only things lined up, but you got to have, if folks are showing up, you got to have something for this child and something for this child and something for this age group and something for this age group. How tough is that getting it organized?
This Christmas cheer has been, I think they started organizing in maybe September or August to get things in place for this event. There are a list of items that children and adults need or wish to have, and they can contact DSS and inquire about that list.
And you can contact DSS at that same number, 592-7131.
Yes, asked to speak to Tracy Odom. She is the social work supervisor that has the list for all the foster care children and the adults under guardianship with our department. And as Monica was saying, the day of the party, we have special guests like Santa Claus and Mrs. Santa Claus. In previous years, we've had the Little Mermaid out there. We have a DJ. Last year was the first year, I believe, that we had a DJ, and especially the teens and the young kids and some adults were out there dancing. That was very joyful. We do have food for them as well. We try to have like bingo games and different games. All of our social workers in foster care and adult services are involved. You have social workers running to help that adult get those gifts and packed. There's families bringing the children over while we entertain the kids. You have social workers on the floor, organizing the games, playing with the children. You have social workers on the dance floor, serving food. It takes a lot, and it's funds. We need funds. We need gifts. We need our community's assistance to make Christmas happen for the children in foster care and the adults in guardianship.
So this all happens on at social services on Rowan Road at the county complex on December 11th.
Yes.
And what time?
6 o'clock.
Okay. What time span are we looking at? So is there like this time to this time that it'll be going on, and this is a one-time event?
It's a one-time event. Well, it's annually from 6 to 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So the important thing I think for folks to understand is that they can bring presents or gifts. Do they need to label those? Should they wrap it or not wrap it?
So Tracy Odom will explain that to each individual that reaches out to us and want to help.
So they need to call her first.
Yes. And it's about, you can help by making a monetary donation. They can help by sponsoring a child. They're not provided, due to confidentiality with the name. It's just the age and initials. Mm-hmm. And it contains that child's wish list. Mm-hmm. We have a wish list for adults as well. Adults need socks, needs soap, that kind of stuff. Just essential items.
So does Tracy network with some of the clubs in the area, the Kiwanis Club, Rotary Club, Civitans, and so forth?
There is a letter that goes out to our sponsors or those that have helped us in the past. There's a letter that goes out, and that letter has already gone out, I believe. And then there's also the county government, or the website on Facebook also has information on how you can help with this program.
As we look at Christmas and we kind of reflect on the fundamental reality of what Christmas is, which is the birth of Jesus Christ, mm-hmm. and look at the message, the scriptural message, this compassion and giving and helping others, that time of the year, it's almost like you want to say to churches, here is a resource. If you reach out to Tracy and say, we are in this particular part of the county, is there a family here that needs help? Is there some way we can connect with you to help us get either financial donation or it's like many of the churches are doing backpack buddies. They've been doing that for years. But this special time of the year, just something that the child may or may not even expect that they really want, that would bring them joy. How do they do that? How does the church, is this same person saying, can she handle all the churches calling her too? Or can this thing get out of hand very quickly and you need to have backup for Tracy? Oh, yeah. Which that'd be a good thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Tracy is our elf. Mm-hmm. Tracy has been doing that job for quite some time. Mm-hmm. She has it organized. Matter of fact, she has a little Santa mailbox outside of her office since the beginning of probably late October. Mm-hmm. So Tracy is our little elf, and mm-hmm. she identifies herself as Santa's elf. So there's a reason for the madness, mm-hmm. and she has it under control. That's what it's one point of contact, and she disperses it out to where it needs to go.
It sounds like to me she's like the post office, distributes stuff mm-hmm. in the right location, at the right place, at the right time. Are there communities that you think, and Maria, you mentioned this a while ago, the cultural divide, so to speak, and that's probably not a good statement, but there is a sense that this culture don't maybe understand this culture. Is there a way to make sure we're reaching multiple cultures and just, as opposed to just, this particular church, and maybe not, we not forget this group over here that don't have a church or don't have a place? How do we reach all the cultures?
Just word of mouth, being informative. We don't We need everybody's help during this time to make this a memorable day for both our adults and our children that are within our county. These items, these gifts, these people are people who grew up here, who are here. Those churches and the community members, anything that they donate stays in our community, is for those in our community.
So we're not shipping things out. This is a time of the year that we're dealing with folks here and helping folks here, particularly in foster care, that may not have a mother and father, may not have the typical structured home. We're looking at those folks to make sure they have adequate, and I keep using that word, joy.
Yes.
What else do we need to know? We're coming up toward the close here, and I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. We've got 910-592-7131, and we've got Tracy Odom. We know that we can reach her. Is there other resources that you guys want to hear from people about? Are you seeing trends out there anywhere that you need to say, look, we're seeing issues related to substance abuse, and we need to know about if you see a family or a child is neglected as a result of substances?
If you see that a child may be abused or neglected, please call the same number, 592-7131, and ask to speak to CPS intake. If you see any concerns regarding an adult that's being abused, to ask for APS intake.
And that's one of the things we really hadn't got in, but the elder abuse is an issue as well when we look at what you guys are engaged in. It's just not adolescents.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Is that a growing problem?
It is. And always remember that you can remain anonymous. You do not have to give your name, your contact information, or anything like that. You can make a report. You can have that concern and voice your concern, and we'll take it from there.
This is a tremendous opportunity for folks to write that number down, and we'll get posted on the screen for the TV people. But 910-592-7131. And if you tell them what you're calling about, even if you can't remember Tracy or any other departments, if you tell them what you're calling about, they will resource you to that person. Just be patient and get the person, and continue your effort to offer information, offer support financially, or with the Christmas cheer program, actually bring some stuff out and leave it. Gifts, presents, whether it's a toy or maybe something more substantial that could be used as a gift.
Absolutely.
Anything else? I'll give you 10 seconds and 10 seconds, say.
We appreciate those that are constantly every year help us make this event successful. There are things already in place, and there's a lot of else at DSS trying to get it together. So thank you for having us today, and for those that plan and will support us.
Thank you for having us today. And if there's anyone out there that's interested in being a foster parent, please contact the same number, 592-7131. We definitely need more loving families out there to support our children.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us today, and very Merry Christmas from Social Services and the elves that are working hard in the county to make sure everybody's covered, everybody has a present, and everybody finds joy at Christmas. We look forward to seeing you again right here on We Should Know each and every week, and may God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host J.W. Simmons. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion regarding this or any episode, please send your emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.